Being the big mouth that I am today at 80, you may be surprised to know that when I was a teenager, when I was in elementary school, I was a very bad stutterer. And because of that, I never spoke much. So I was a very introspective person. Now, whether that helped me or whatever, but it always bothered me that I was not able to communicate as well as other people. I mean, you can even hear it in my videos if you watch them. I mean, I don't slip often, but I still slip. I mean, my speech is still not perfect. Anyway, I was a hard worker. I always, I always had jobs. Just like a Jamaican, you know. I got 5 jobs, man, 5 jobs. You know, I mean, I had jobs. I was always working, you know, whatever. I mean, I had jobs if I wanted me to babysit or mow your lawn or, you know, I mean, I was working at a laundromat. I was doing anything I could in order to make a buck. Now, what's interesting is that at age 16, this would be, you know, in the mid-1960s, early 1960s, I was able to buy a car. I bought a 1965 Volkswagen, and I always remember the price, $1,613. $1,613. And my father was a wonderful guy, and I had saved like $1,000 of it. He says, listen, I'll give you the rest of the money, you pay me back. And then I was working hard, and and I paid him back. But something interesting happened, and that was that car, for the first time in my life, made me special. Most teenagers did not have cars, and no teenagers that I knew had a new car. So I had my Volkswagen Beetle, my red Volkswagen Beetle, and I had that, and I was transporting everybody around, and everybody wanted to be my friend because I had a car and I had a new car, and this was something that made me special. And it made me special for a few years. I mean, most people didn't have cars, certainly still didn't have new cars, but I did. I had, you know, even when I was 18, I had a 2-year, you know, so I had a newer car. So this became my identity, owning this car, and because it made me special. So when I got to be in my early 20s, I mean, I was no longer that special for having a car or even having, you know, I mean, at this point, a lot of people had cars and some of them had new cars, so I had to find something else to make me special. Well, it just turns out that when I was 23, I had bought my first property. I bought a 3-family house. And, I lived on the 2nd floor. I had girlfriends of mine on the 1st floor and the 3rd floor. I thought I was the cool dude and all of that. So all of a sudden, I was special again, okay? I mean, there were virtually zero people my age, who I knew anyway, who owned their own house. And here I had a 3-family house, and, I lived in it, and I was a landlord and, and all of that. So, this was something that made me special again. And then I started buying properties and doing all, and all of a sudden I became a big fish in a little pond. And, the success that I had went to my head. I really started to think that, I had hubris. And, that means that I had this false idea of myself that somehow I was special because I was different. And, it was a good different, but I was different. So, I think there's another word for that, and that's being an asshole. So, you can say, well, I had hubris. And probably most of the people are going to say, no, he's a complete asshole. And that was the mistake that I made. I mean, I was ambitious and I was hardworking and all of that, but I was not reflective of who I was, what I was doing, and why I was doing it. I mean, I think I was doing it for false reasons, going back to my stuttering days and having that car and just wanting to be special in some way. What way can I be special? And, for a long time, it was, the car, and then it was because I owned a few properties. And, later I became, whatever, because I was in the martial arts, but I kept doing that, and, blah, 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 working my way up through the ranks. Who are you? Well, I'm a martial art, fifth degree black belt, So this hubris did follow me for a long time. And looking back, I say, this was a mistake. I don't think I had the friendships that I should have had. I don't think that I did the good that I could have done by having this self-important attitude. And now that I look back and you say, no, you were an arrogant little shit, is what you were. I mean, I didn't realize that at the time, but 80 years old, looking back 50 years, saying, you were a real dickhead back in those days. I mean, I wish that I had more introspection. Maybe I got some of that later in life from the martial arts, and and thinking, and then having some tough times and tragedies to work through. You become everybody becomes an older person. You hope you become an older and wiser person. I mean, certainly I was not old and I was not wise in my 20s, okay? I was an arrogant little shit, and, I thought it was justified because of to me, it was a handicap, okay? You can say, well, you stumble over your blah, 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 you stutter, and, what's that? I mean, if it's you, it was a big deal, okay? To me, being a stutterer was a big deal, okay? And, over the years, I really studied how can I do this, and, breath control, and I never really had a speech therapist. I learned, learned the breathing techniques and all of this myself, but I'm getting off topic here. I guess I probably don't want to talk about myself as a little blah, 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 blah in my 20s, okay? Very successful, but a real jerk. So if I look back and say, did I make a mistake? Oh, yeah, I made a mistake. And would I go back and do it differently? Yeah, I hope I would go back and be a much better person than I actually was in my 20s. This is the Bill FitzPatrick Network. I'm the old man himself, Bill FitzPatrick. I hope my stories and my experience help you out. They help you out, or you find them entertaining. Please think about subscribing so we can continue this conversation.